okay, we've got people coming across the border by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands, by the millions. We've got elections being overturned in Connecticut. We've got the Biden administration asking for a pause in a war. Like, this isn't dodgeball. There's not a timeout in this. Okay, wait, it's a lot to get to. We're going to do this quick, though. Let's get to it. Okay, welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. Love seeing those comments. Okay, so let's start right here off the bat. Going with the good stuff. There's 7,000 migrants headed to America via the Darien Gap, many of whom are being led by Chinese influencers. So we've got folks coming from outside the country, but not just from Mexico. These aren't just poor people that are trying to escape the drug cartels in Mexico. These are people that are coming from China. They're coming from Palestine, I'm sure. Now, how would it takes resources to get on a plane and fly that far. It takes a long time to fly to China, right? It takes a long time to fly from China into South America. It takes a long time to fly from Pakistan, or it takes a long time to fly from, Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Palestine or any of these places. It takes money. It takes resources. How are they getting there? And if money is being pumped into a system out there that is getting illegals into South America so that they can infiltrate the U.S. through the southern border, who are the people that are paying for that? And what are their intentions? Because they can't be good. If you're willing to invest that much money into it, it can't be for a good cause. So people like to play the humanitarian side of this. This is far more than that. This is an absolute breach of our nation's security. Period. End of story. So it says illegal immigrants crossing our borders have always been a problem, but it becomes an out-of-control monster of a problem since the Biden administration took office, and it's only getting worse. So again, this is from Blaze Media. So yeah, I like to make fun of people for being hyperbolic, as far as news outlets go, but they're very clearly opinion people, and in this instance, it's most definitely warranted. And Sarah Gonzalez plays the clip of a sea of immigrants numbering more than 7,000 heading to the United States right now by way of the Darien Gap. Many of them are allegedly being led by Chinese influencers. We can't ask who they are. We can't ask what they're going to do here, what they're going to give to us, sighs Pat Gray. We have to only mention that what we're going to do for them. So meanwhile, Joe Biden has already requested that Congress appropriate $1.4 billion to help state and local governments provide shelter and services for migrants. So we saw the sanctuary cities. Everybody said, oh, we're sanctuary cities. It's the racist Donald Trump and all the racist Donald Trump supporters saying that we shouldn't, bend a knee to these poor people coming from other countries. And you feel for their plight. I feel for them. I truly do. I feel very bad for them. But people are born into bad circumstances, not just in Nicaragua and not just in Mexico or in China or in Pakistan or in Palestine or in Egypt or in Turkey or whatever country these people are coming from. People are born into bad circumstances here, and they're talking about pumping $1.4 billion into helping these people. These are not American citizens. I'm sorry. They are not American citizens. They have violated our federal laws. Period. Feel for them. Pray for them. But not everybody is blessed to be born in the United States. And on top of that, the people here can barely support what's going on inside of our country with this out-of-control spending. We can't afford to import many cities, and in some cases, many states worth of people, and give them take care of all of their needs? How about you take care of the people who were born here, the people that are actually citizens of the United States? Not people that are coming here to freeload. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in freeloading immigrants coming to our country, period. And there's going to be an increase in crime when this happens. It's not like they're going to send their best and brightest across. The best and brightest are coming in legally. The best and brightest are going to be recruited through the visa system, which is fine. I mean, if we have a visa system, it's overstaying visas that I have a problem with. But if people are coming in the right way, they are not the ones generally breaking the law. They are the ones that want to be American. They want to assimilate into the American way of life. These people do not. period. And so there's going to be security concerns, like I say. And then you've got people talking about this James Patterson guy. He's an author, and he says he's 99.999% certain America's founders did not foresee assault rifles in the hands of farm boys. So that's obviously a jab at the Southern boys like myself that, well, I don't own any firearms anymore, but who used to own firearms. Mine were lost in a boating accident. But he opined that he is nearly certain that America's founders did not foresee assault rifles in the hands of farm boys when the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was written. I write about assault weapons more than I'd like to. I believe their place is in the hands of law enforcement and our military. I honestly don't see why anyone else needs to have a machine gun. Now, a quick educational point here. Machine guns it's not that they're illegal, but they are nearly impossible to get your hands on. And because of the ban that what's the law? Oh, I forget what it is. Either way, the one that puts all these silly restrictions and taxes on anything outside of a standard rifle or a pistol or whatever. So if you want to get automatic stuff, you want to get a suppressor or any of these things, you want to sawed off, a short-barreled rifle or something of that nature, then you have to pay tax stamps. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops. And if it's a machine gun, an actual machine gun, it is insanely expensive. Absolutely insanely expensive, because they stopped as anything after 1980s, I think, like manufactured before that. You can still have, but it costs a lot of money. If you wanted to get a fully automatic weapon, I mean, you're going to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get an Uzi, right? To get a hunk of stamped metal that I think Uzi shoots a 9mm. This junky piece of stamped metal is going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you want something that is actually automatic. So don't tell me it's not a machine gun. The average American, only rich people can own machine guns. If you want to talk about some, inequality in the system, it's that you have to have $50,000 or whatever it is to buy a Ma Deuce 50 cal as a private citizen. And yeah, so the machine gun, this is the terminology gap. Anyways, I'm going to skip over that. But he said, I'm 99.999% sure that Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, Washington, and the Adams boys did not foresee assault rifles in the hands of farm boys back in the 18th century when they were writing the Second Amendment. Muskets and flintlock pistols fired a single shot in about 20 seconds. This is from a tweet of his. And I'm going to put this guy's face up again. According to constitution.congress.gov, James Madison produced an initial draft of the Second Amendment. Some people pounced on Patterson's post, declaring that the author is wrong. You're wrong. Of course, the founders could perceive of a future in which guns get better. During their time, gun tech was rapidly improving. Jordan, I don't know who this person is. He tweeted, "Why do I need a rifle? See the Hamas paragliders." And they talked about Israel being attacked. Israel started, after the attack began, Israel started issuing out weapons to its people, saying, we're going to have to defend ourselves. We don't know where this is going to go. We don't know how far and wide the attack on Israel is going to be. So they said, well, we need to arm our people now. And Israel, my understanding is Israel has some very strict gun laws. So you're going to want those old farm boys with AR-15s when it hits the fan. I mean, this is, and again, insulated people that are insulated from the real world, people who are, feel some sense of security because every time they show up at an event, there's police officers everywhere. They think that that's how the average American lives. This is just how, the same way in Washington, D.C. Every Democrat politician that walks around with people to protect them, who goes to work and has Capitol Police, an entire police force dedicated to their protection, thinks that the average American lives that way. And they say, oh, no, it should only be in the hands of the police and the military. This is a terrible argument. It's a terrible argument. If right now somebody came through my front door and they had a weapon on them, what am I going to do? I'm going to call the police? Yeah, and I'm going to wait 10 minutes for a police officer to show up? I'm going to wait 3 minutes. Most interactions like that happen in seconds. They don't happen in minutes. So somebody could come up to my house right now and knock down my front door, and I'm the only one. I am my own first responder. I'm the one who's going to have to take some kind of action. Me. That's why we have a Second Amendment. And it's self-preservation. So it really infuriates me, especially after what happened in Israel, that more people aren't waking up to this. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. Peter Doocy, who guys, he's so smug and so I love it. Like he does an amazing job. Yeah, he works for Fox News, and Fox News is has its own issues or I have my own issues with Fox News. But Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy confronted the Biden administration on Thursday about how a humanitarian pause would help the Israelis in their fight against Hamas. As Israeli Defense Forces successfully fight back against Hamas, President Joe Biden on Wednesday endorsed a humanitarian pause in Gaza. I think we need a pause, Biden said. He's so succinct. I think we need a pause. It was not an outright endorsement of a ceasefire, something the White House has refused to support, knowing that a ceasefire would reward Hamas. But it was a nod to progressive Democrats who are upset that Israel is responding to Hamas's barbaric attack with the full power of the Middle East's most powerful military force. And yes, as I think I said it in my last video or one of my last few videos, they are the powerhouse in the Middle East. Even though they're a tiny country, even though they are, backed up against the ocean, completely surrounded on all sides by countries who hate them, they still have an incredibly powerful military. And a lot of that is because of us. We have provided support to Israel. And as I said before, I believe that that's warranted because, again, every country around them for thousands and thousands of miles wants to wipe them off the face of the earth. And so they're asking about having a ceasefire or a pause. I'm sorry, a humanitarian pause. Let us go in here and do. This is a war. This is a war. And one side is a radical lunatics willing to kill women and children, mutilate and burn bodies, dismember people, disembowel people. These are not the kind of people that are like, okay. You need a ceasefire? We'll hold off for just a minute. And Peter Doocy was pressing him, saying that, as you push the Israelis for humanitarian pause, they are supposed to sit back and let Hamas attack them and not fight back, Doocy asked. And then Kirby, however, dodged providing a direct answer. He said the Biden administration was being crystal clear that Israel has the right to defend themselves, which begged a second question that Doocy was not afraid to ask. So a pause means they can still shoot back, Doocy followed up. My goodness, Peter, an exasperated Kirby responded. We've given them security assistance almost every day, but do we advocate pauses by both sides here, temporary, localized, to be able to get Americans out, to be able to get aid in? You betcha we do. It's not a realistic request. Sorry, that is not a realistic request. This is the middle of a war, and war is chaos. War is difficult, and you can walk and chew gum at the same time. But my only assumption is that this is over a resounding fear that, golly, I'm sorry, my nose is itching. This is over a resounding fear that, if we send in SF or we send in SEALs or we send in some other, special operators or whatever, there could be the loss of American life, which would, turn up the heat on the situation. But at the end of the day, this is a war, and Hamas is not going to any pause. You can call it a pause for humanitarian aid or a humanitarian pause. Hamas is going to keep attacking. Like there's zero question about that. Okay, let's go on to the next one here, which this one's really fun because, we've been told for a long time that we have the safest election system in the country. And in this instance, a judge overturns the results of the Democrat primary in Connecticut mayoral race after allegations of voter fraud. So a judge has overturned the results of the Democratic primary for the mayoral race in Bridgeport, Connecticut, after viewing compelling evidence of voter fraud. His ruling creates chaos for the general election that is scheduled to take place in just a few days. On September 12th, incumbent Bridgeport Mayor Joe Ganim narrowly edged out challenger John Gomes by a mere 251-vote margin in the Democrat primary. Primary election day ballots favored Gomes, but after absentee ballots were tallied later that evening, Ganim prevailed over Gomes 42-12 to 39-61. So 4,212 to 3,961. So within days, the Gomes camp cried foul, posting a video to Facebook that appeared to show Wanda Jeter Pataki a city employee and a long-standing supporter of Mayor Ganim, stuffing a ballot box outside of City Hall with absentee ballots. And this is fantastic because I've got the video right here. This is from Fox 61. So here's Wanda leaving her workstation, and then she goes from there. Oh, over here, she's got a handful of ballots, and she's pumping those into, and of course, they went and tried to confront her. She's pumping ballots in there, and she didn't just go one time. She went, my understanding is 3 separate times to the same ballot box with stacks of ballots. Oh, but no. We have the most free and safe elections in the world. This could never happen. It's not possible. No, Dinesh D'Souza's video showing all the voter fraud that was going on across the country. No. It's a figment of your imagination. You're mistaken. It's all free. It's fair. It's a perfect system. This is a perfect system. It's a beautiful system. It's a perfect system. Oh, it's ridiculous, and I can't believe people are falling for it. So you're telling me that in a mayoral race in Bridgeport, Connecticut, that they can find voter fraud, but for the federal election, even when people show it, they show the voter fraud taking place. They're like, nah, it's, and even a lot of Republicans, which drives me nuts, and a lot of conservatives, they downplay it. They're so afraid of calling it out where they see it. Are we ever going to have have we ever had a perfect election? No, we haven't had a perfect election. There's been political gamesmanship and all kinds of things being played. But at the end of the day, we should have a little bit of faith in our system. And it is at an all-time low. And they have no interest in restoring it. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens in 2024. Because believe you me, there's going to be in my opinion, there's got to be a red wave that happens if people continue to vote for the Democrat Party. And we can. I will be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked. There's an MMA fighter who, I can't remember his name. He's a big time pro-Trump guy, and I love the fact that Dana White doesn't really censor his guys. He's like, nah, you could say what you want to say. I don't really care. I believe in the First Amendment, that sort of thing. Now, we can talk about his getting Bud Light as a sponsor. That might have been a big misstep, but was it Masvidal? Jorge Masvidal? Is that who said it? I can't remember. Either way, he talked about, he said, I look at sports, or look at the world through a sports lens, because he's been a professional athlete most of his life. And he said, when Donald Trump was president, we were winning Super Bowls. And in my opinion, when you're winning games, you don't fire the head. And he said, Donald Trump is like our head coach, and we were winning Super Bowls. You don't fire the head coach when you're winning Super Bowls. And you definitely don't hire a guy who's been in the game for 47 years and has never won a blanking game. Right? And it was a perfect analogy. When I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, the guy, 200%, he is absolutely right. And we could go back to winning Super Bowls. We could go back to some world peace. We could go back to a little breathing room. Now, the mainstream media is not going to let people have breathing room. They're not going to let them settle down. They don't want the calm. They need people stressed out and pissed off and angry at each other. But we could go back to, moderate disagreements over, minor policy things, but by and large have a successful country. That's far better than where we are right now. It's just everything is going down the tubes. And I feel for the American people. It's really a bummer. All right, so there's some headlines for you all to let you know just how screwed up the world is. Misery loves company. That's why I bring you along. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave some comments below. And we'll see you all in the next one.